Hello, my name is Simon Kemp. I am an Associate Professor of French at the University of Oxford and Director of Outreach for the Modern Languages faculty. And this is a short presentation on the Modern Languages Admissions Tests. So you'll need to sit a Modern Languages Admissions Test if you're applying to study Modern Languages as a degree at Oxford, or if you're applying for one of the 6 degrees that combine Modern Languages with another subject. European and Middle Eastern languages, classics and modern languages, English and modern languages, history and modern languages and linguistics, or philosophy and modern languages. The Modern Languages Admissions Test is a paper-based test with 10 sections, of which you'll be asked to do 1 or 2 sections only, depending on the course you've applied for. The 10 sections, as you can see here on the cover sheet of the test, are tests in each of 8 languages: Czech, French, German, Italian, Modern Greek, Portuguese, Russian and Spanish, which are for candidates who are applying to study a degree in that language and who are already studying that language in the 6th form. The other 2 sections are the Language Aptitude Test, the LAT, which is for people who are applying to study new languages as beginners, as well as for people who are applying to study Russian on its own. Plus a philosophy test, which is just for people who are applying to study the Philosophy and Modern Languages joint degree course. So if you look through the test, you will see 2-page tests on each of the languages. This is the first of the 2 pages on French, and you can see here it starts with a fill in the gap exercise, and then moves on to more complex questions where here you can see translating whole sentences from English into French. The other languages work more or less the same way. I want to also just show you the language aptitude test for beginners languages, because that one's slightly different. This is a test based on a made-up language that someone in the faculty invents a new language every year for this test, and it's trying to find out how good you are at working out the rules of how a language functions from some examples of it. So in this case here, for example, there is an introduction to the language which points out that if you're trying to work it out, you should keep an eye on the grammatical gender of words, as in ram being a male sheep versus ewe being a female sheep versus sheep being undetermined, and to use that hint to try and work something out about how these sentences in this made-up language work. And so I'm not going to go into it in detail, but if you were to look into these opening sentences that are given as examples, you'll see that 3 of the sentences are something to do with goats, one of them about male goats, one of them about female goats, and one of them about goats that are unspecified in gender. And you'll notice that the word porous turns up with both the male goats and the female goats, and the word peris turns up where goats are mentioned, but it doesn't specify whether they're male or female. And so that might be your first step to trying to work out how this language functions. And once you've worked out a few of the rules behind it, you're then encouraged to both translate sentences from this language and also to create sentences in this language based on those rules. So that's what the tests are. Where to go to find out details about them. So everything you need to know about them is on our website. So if you go to the main Oxford University homepage, which is ox.ac.uk, you can then click the admissions tab, go to undergraduate admissions, and from undergraduate admissions you can pick the course that you're applying for, modern languages or history and modern languages, or one of the other joint schools. And here we have the Modern Languages homepage, where you have all the details you need to know about the courses and about how to apply for them, including, as you might see there in the middle of the grey box, details about how the admissions tests work and how to register and take them. So if you look at the admissions test page, you'll see all of this information, which will include information about which tests you need to take for the particular course you're applying for. So on the website, it presents it all in the form of tables. So you find which table is you. So for example, if you're a course combining two modern languages, such as say French and Spanish, then you would look at this table, courses combining two modern languages. You would look up on the table the point where French and Spanish connect, and we see that the tests you need are test F and test S, which the key will explain is a test in French and a test in Spanish. If you were looking to take a course where you're combining two modern languages, one of which is a beginner's language, then this would be the table that you would look at. So, for example, we can see on the second row, if you wanted to do French and beginner's Czech, then you need F and A. So you need to take a test in French and an aptitude test, the LAT, the language aptitude test that I was just talking about. And every single course, including the joint courses like English and modern languages, have their own table on the website where you can clearly see the required tests to take for each option. So why are we asking you to take a test? So it's an extra piece of information for us. There is no pass-fail mark on the test. We take it into account along with all the other information that we've got on you, your personal statement, teacher references, grades achieved so far, predicted grades, sample schoolwork, contextual information that UCAS provides on your school and your background, plus if you're shortlisted for interview, from the interview itself. Registration for the test isn't automatic. It doesn't just happen when you apply through UCAS, so you do have to see to this yourself. You have to register through an authorised test centre, which for most of our candidates is going to be your own school or sixth form college, but could also be an open test centre. So as it explains on our website, you should ask your exams officer in your school or college whether it's registered as the test centre, and if so, you'll take your test there. If not, the school can follow the advice on the website to register as a test centre. And if for any reason your school can't as a test centre, and if for any reason your school can't be your test centre, or if your own circumstances make that impractical for some reason, you can take your test in an open centre, and again, through our admissions page, you can find where your nearest open test centre is. The test centre can also apply for access arrangements, such as Braille, exam papers, extra time, or a laptop, if you need them, just as you do with GCSEs and other exams. And that also includes access arrangements for short-term issues, such as if you break your arm before you're due to take the exam. The tests are held on a specific date each year, which is usually in early November. The date for this year is on our admissions pages. It's not possible to change the date or to reset the test after it. But if you do feel that something stopped you from showing your real potential in the test, for example, if you were feeling ill that day, then your centre can submit a special consideration form when they submit the test. On our website, on the test page, we have a selection of past papers, so recent tests from recent years for you to practice on, as well as MLAT and LAT solutions, so the answer papers against which you can check your work. So lastly, our tips to prepare for taking the Modern Languages Aptitude Test. Firstly, navigate your way through our website to the test papers on the page here, and review the sample papers on the site here. That'll help you to feel familiar with the test paper and to know what to expect. If you're taking either the language aptitude test or the philosophy test, then make sure you read through the advice carefully so that you know what to expect and how best to approach those questions, because that's likely to be something that you won't have had experience in doing before. And then most importantly, sit at least one past paper from this archive here in proper test conditions, without using dictionaries or other aids, keeping strictly to the time available. And that's a really important thing to do, as it will help you get used to how much time you need to allocate to each part of the paper. And lastly, don't worry if you find these papers very difficult when you are having a go at them. They are supposed to be difficult. They're designed to be useful for people at all stages of language competency, including the very highest near-native stages. So they're likely to stretch you further than you've been stretched before, and most of our candidates find them very hard. Few people get very high marks in them, and that does not in any way mean that your application to Oxford is unlikely to succeed. So that's the end of my little run through of tests. I would encourage you to go and find out more, either by going directly to this site with the address here, or by going through the admissions pages to the Modern Languages admissions pages, where you'll also find the link. I hope you found that helpful. Thank you for listening.